Thursday night Big Ten basketball recap. We had two games on Thursday night. Illinois takes the game and wins over Washington 75-66 at home for the Illini. And then Northwestern blows out Penn State 94-73 for Penn State. We'll talk about that game here in a minute, but let's talk about this Illinois game first, as Illinois does pretty much what they're supposed to do in this one. It was a little bit of a clunky game, but Illinois, they get their 10th straight win. They're looking good at this point. They just come off that game after beating Purdue, and now they're getting ready to play Nebraska on Sunday. So you had a little bit of a little bit of trap game potential here. I was talking about it on the radio show with Spencer. I said, hey, this is a game where Illinois needs to make sure they give Washington their best shot, because Washington does have some good players on this team, and Washington will get you. Wesley Yates was back, and Steinbach is a good player as well. He actually was kind of flying around out there, was playing some good perimeter defense at times, for most of the game, not just at times. But this is a good Washington team that I think deserves probably some more credit than people are getting them. Are they going to make the tournament this season? Probably not. They are 11-10 on the season, 3-7. You'd have to see a really good end of the season for them. Illinois 18-3 on the year, 9-1. They're atop the Big Ten, tied with Nebraska and the two Michigan schools. Michigan and Michigan State is going to play Friday night, which, by the way, we're going to go live for that right after the game and recap that Michigan State game. So be here live on the Big Ten Huddle Friday night. I need to get back into doing some of these live shows with Big Ten basketball now, with football over and everything else. We'll get into some of these live shows a few times, kind of call it Big Ten After Dark. So we'll get into that. But we're going to have a good time talking about these basketball games, but specifically this basketball game here with Illinois. It's impressive that Illinois can play kind of as clunky, and I wouldn't say bad, but just kind of clunky and not as put together, not as crisp, and still come away with a 9-point win over a middle of the pack Big Ten team. Again, this Washington team is 11-10. They've found ways to lose this season. They're 7-3 on the year, but they're still a top 50 KenPom team. That's the thing. Like, they still have really good efficiency numbers. They're still able to score. They still play good defense at times. And honestly, in this game, one of the biggest issues for Washington was how many times Illinois was able to keep them shooting jump shots and shooting three-pointers, and Washington just wasn't able to make their three-pointers in this game. In fact, Washington shot 26% from three. They were 45% from the field, which was actually better than Illinois. But the big indicator in this game were the second chance points. Illinois, 24 second chance points. Washington, only 4. And it's not like Washington wasn't doing a good job of rebounding. Washington did get 11 offensive rebounds in this game to Illinois' 14 offensive rebounds, but Illinois just got the offensive rebounds and more possessions, I think you could say. And then also they were able to finish with those offensive rebounds more often as well. So, this is one of those games where if you're an Illinois fan, you don't love it. Like, you don't come away from this one and you're like, oh, great. But you are and it's not like, we survived or whatever. It wasn't like this was a super close game. Washington kind of continued to hang around, but the first half was clunky. The first half, you got to a slow start. Washington got out to a 7-0 lead. You missed 5 free throws in the first half. And Washington, they were in they had Illinois in the bonus about halfway through the first half. And so you kind of had everything going for you, but you just weren't really putting it all together. But Keaton Wagler does end up with a really good game, 22 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. He's really starting to come into his own. And I do think that part of this is just getting used to Keaton Wagler being the main guy in the offense. When against Purdue, as much as he was excellent, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away. 46 points, you're not going to get a single complaint from me. That was a game where he kind of did it all himself. This game, you saw a whole lot more of him trying to play within the offense, get other guys involved, be the playmaker, but also be the distributor. And you saw a good distribution in this game, obviously 8 assists, but you're still seeing guys kind of get used to this, work together. Andre Slavkovic did not have a great day. Only 8 points for him in this game, but I also felt like he got down into the paint quite a bit and just wasn't getting the foul calls in this one. So I'm not low on Andre Slavkovic in this one. I'm not low on Big T, Tommy Avicic in this one either. I felt like Tommy just couldn't hit a shot. 1 of 8 from 3 in this one, and I wonder how much of that is maybe a little bit of just a lack of chemistry between Keaton and Tommy. Tommy, his pick and pop is so important there at the top of the key, and they were really getting into that a lot, but he just wasn't hitting it in this one. But he did a good job of still remaining, obviously engaged and everything else. He was able to get some rebounds in this one, 6 rebounds overall for Big T, and he was able to pass the ball as well. 3 assists. He had a really nice rebound into an assist to Andre Stojakovic under the basket. So was it the best performance in the world for Illinois? No. Did it give you a whole lot of concern? No. Do you walk away from this one and say Keaton Wagler still really freaking good? Yes. That's kind of what you walk away with. And at the end of the day, that the name of the game was go in here, get the win like you're supposed to, and get ready for Nebraska. And that's exactly what Illinois did in this game. So props to Illinois. I think Washington's a better team than people are giving credit for. I mean, in this game, they shot 45% from the field. They were 100% from the free throw line. They had the same number of rebounds as Illinois. Like, they didn't get out rebounded to a bad margin, but they still lost this game by 9 points. Again, just the lack of second chance points was really kind of the biggest thing. And 3-point shooting as well was kind of the biggest thing in this game. So, tough one for Washington. You would have liked to be more competitive in this one. And this team is likely not going anywhere with the NCAA tournament or anything like that. But this Illinois team is going places. And this Illinois team has a very real possibility of being able to win the Big Ten this season. That game against Nebraska is going to be no joke. That is one they definitely have to get, especially after dropping 1 to them earlier in the season. But Michigan State and Michigan are right up there as well. Michigan State, they don't look totally unbeatable. They struggled in their game against Rutgers. Just kind of like look at these teams as they're going into big matchups. Sometimes they kind of don't put it all together. Michigan State, they go into overtime against Rutgers. That wasn't a great performance, but they're still going to bounce back because they have Michigan coming up, and I think that's going to be a really good game. The other game that we had on Thursday night was the Penn State. Penn State drops this one 73-94. Northwestern gets the win. Northwestern kind of goes crazy in this one, shooting over 60% from the field. They had a really, really good day shooting. In fact, they were able to, I think they were able to meet their 3-pointers per game mark, but only about 13 minutes. I think in the first 13 and a half minutes, they were able to exceed their season 3 points per game average. Not a great turnout by the Northwestern fans, but at the same time, this Northwestern team, they're 10-11, they're 2-8 on the season conference. Nick Martinelli, he's really excited. He was the MVP in this game. He did really well scoring the ball, being able to put up, why can't I see these points? Being able to put up 34 points in this one, and you had 18 rebounds from Singleton in this one. Trey Singleton had 18 rebounds. Really, when you kind of put it all together, not great for Penn State. Like Northwestern, this is what they do. They can score, and you get Nick Martinelli really going. You can put up 34 points, especially when you see very little resistance from the defense. But I would be surprised if Penn State, you don't hear a whole lot of chatter about Mike Rhoades and where he's going and stuff. It was a really interesting decision for him to go into this season, year 3, with all these freshmen and everything. I never really loved the idea from the beginning for Mike Rhoades. Number one, you're going into a season with all freshmen against a much older, much more experienced Big Ten, where a lot of teams are really invested in the transfer portal and developing their players and playing older players, especially a team like Illinois, who's going out and getting guys from Europe who have played, as adults for a little while. Not pro players. All right. We're not getting into that or anything. And then Mike Rhoades has always been known for his defense, right? And you got freshmen playing out there. Don't get me wrong. Good win for Northwestern. I'm not trying to take anything away from Northwestern by talking about bad defense by Penn State, but it's been perplexing this season to see Penn State kind of play this defense, and for Mike Rhoades to kind of try to operate with all these freshmen and everything. It is what it is. I'm not gonna say that Mike Rhoades is getting fired or anything like that, because we just don't know. I mean, there could be the possibility of them looking at this and saying, hey, he's got young freshmen, let's see what he can do with it. But at the same time, you got to show something at some point. You got to show a little bit of your identity as a coach. You got to show a little bit of your team and who they can be. And quite frankly, 9-12, 0-10 in the Big Ten. It's just not good enough. It's quite honestly terrible. I mean, this is a terrible Penn State basketball team, and Mike Rhodes is failing there at Penn State. We'll see, how much they care. Obviously, much more into wrestling than they are basketball over there at Penn State. But Northwestern, Chris Collins, and their whole situation there, they got a really good one. Nick Martinelli, unfortunately for him, just not going to really be able to have a super meaningful season this season. But 34 points, you know what? That's the bright spot to watch of Northwestern basketball, is seeing the interesting stuff there and seeing how that goes.